Intro music.
Come on in.
A star for the ages for Tony Gwynn, number 3,000.
They have acquired Eric Johnson and Fernando Tatis Jr. from the White Sox in exchange for James Shield.
Welcome to Slam Diego.
My name is Joey,
My name is James.
and this is the Brothers Padre.
And on episode 67, it's an important number. Most people would agree that is one of the most important number of all podcasts.
Yeah, very important.
Once you get over the 67 hurdle, you're smooth sailing.
They say after 67 years of marriage, you'll stay married, and after 7 episodes of podcasts were made.
Yeah, next step is Joe Rogan's record.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we haven't podcasted in a while. We are in a brand new studio, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it
This is the third studio we've had. Might be the fourth studio.
No. What?
Yeah, I mean, we did my garage, my office, remote, and now my new house's bedroom.
Oh, that's true. That is true. And next week, hopefully you'll be more moved in and it'll be back in your office again.
Yeah, back in my office. It'll be we'll have 5 studios. In the
5 studios is beat that other podcast.
Yeah.
5 studios and 67 episodes. Ha-ha. What are we going to talk about today, Joseph?
James, we are a Padres podcast. We also do stuff with baseball. We talk about the baseball. It's important to Padres. But there's not a whole lot of Padres news. We took a hiatus just because end of the season. We wanted some time to just step away before we did more episodes.
You were moving.
I was moving. And also, frankly, there was no Padres news.
That is true.
We have a standing agreement. If major Padres news happen, we just find a time to do podcasts, and there just hasn't been.
Since the acquisition of Bob Melvin, the only Padre news that's come about is Skip Schumacher is no longer the Padres. And although I like Skip, he's a nice guy, that's not what I would call major Padre news.
No, not at all. It's not major at all.
No.
We didn't need to bust out the mics for Skip Schumacher's going away party.
We didn't need to sit on all of your moving boxes.
No,
No.
not needed. But so we thought we'd take some time to talk about the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, to start up the show.
Currently, all of the general managers are in a meeting
In
here
Carlsbad.
in Carlsbad, here in San Diego. At what hotel are they in at again, Joe? Do you remember?
I think it's the La Costa in Carlsbad. Don't hound them. I don't know why I outed them. Don't go there.
Well, I've been there.
It's a very nice
It's
place.
a very nice, yeah. If I remember correctly, that was where the 2007 it was 2007 whatever West Coast Emmys was held, right?
Oh, actually, you're probably right.
Yeah.
As we all know, you and I are both Emmy nominated.
I don't think anybody else knows. I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't even remember what the region of the Emmys that we were nominated for.
right. The Pacific Southwest.
That's what it
If
is,
you want to be
Pacific
really
Southwest
specific.
Emmy.
Now we're in the weeds, and all of our Padres listeners are like, what are you talking about? So they're having GM meetings, and they're doing GM things, trying to figure out deals. We've already seen a couple signs around baseball. Noah Syndergaard got signed yesterday with Los Angeles Angels for $21 million in a 1-year deal.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. I think it's so maybe we should talk a little bit about the market first, and then we'll move on to the CBA.
Okay.
Because I think it ties into both of them. So there is with the CBA, which is the collective bargaining agreement, ends on December 7th, December 6th, sometime in December. And that means the agreement between the players' unions and the owners is null and void. So there is a sense in baseball that we might see all the major free agents signed before then, because no one's really sure what will happen afterwards. Or the sense is it'll be detrimental to players. It'll be detrimental to players to wait that long.
Because last year, famously, Bauer Boy waited until the very last minute
Right.
until he got his price tag super, super high.
Yeah.
And he celebrated by punching a woman.
I'm not gonna laugh at that comment. Not funny.
Trevor Bauer is a jerk, and he deserves never to be playing baseball again.
Yeah. Not a good guy. So we have till then, and so Noah Syndergaard would deny a qualifying offer, which is going to be $18.4 million for the Mets.
Which is still nuts for Noah Syndergaard.
Right. He's pitched 2 pitches in the past 2 years. Literally, like 2. He's thrown the ball twice in a major league game in the past 2 years. His arm is electric, but he rarely pitches a full season.
And even when he was, quote unquote, good, he never had astounding numbers. This just shows you how high the price tags are going to be for some of these free agents. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I don't know. Like Corey Kluber was $10 million last year for a 1-year deal, right? And then this one is, it's a weird deal. And then because seems like so inflated, just especially for a 1-year deal. And then Jose Barrios, the Blue Jays extended him 7 years for $131 million, which still pretty good money.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind $131 million to play around with.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very inflated. I think there's a sense that there's going to be players that are going to be I'm going to get my money now. I can't guarantee that after the CBA it'll be in a way that I can guarantee free agent money. Because I think the worry about the CBA is the players might force the owners to spend more money, and so owners are hey, we don't have that money, and then they're going to be super cheap on the free agent market. That's kind of like the hypothetical worry that some players have, right? Because there's theorized to be a salary floor, which means every single team has to spend at least that much money. So
I believe every team, the bottom they have to spend is $65 million.
Yeah, 60 to 65 million is the hypothesized floor, which is still $20 million in the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Braves have done previously.
Yes.
And that is significant. 20 the Rays are a different monster because they always go far. They just don't have a very compelling product at the stadium. But the Pirates should spend more. Everyone should spend more to have competitive teams, right? So with that said, $20 million more. There's maybe the middle, quote unquote middle class of free agents do super well. Like Tommy Pham might do well, for example. Who else would probably do well? Like a pitcher like
Mark Melancon would find a nice contract,
right? Like those kind of players will find good, and they will find money there. Whereas then people might be hesitant to go a top range, or you might see, and this was hypothesized last year, the end of last year with Hosmer. It's Hosmer might be a very valuable trade piece to bump a cheap team towards the 60 million mark because he's owed so much money. So teams might just sign one free agent that earned $20 million or whatever the number is to get them to 60 million for 6 years. Right?
Especially because I remember that was a discussion, they might be negotiating a Major League Baseball giving teams they'll pay some of their salary if they can't afford, if they'll say hardship that they can't afford to make the $65 million until so many times. Major League Baseball might just give them $20 million, which is, I don't know if that's going to enter fruition, but I know that's what they were talking about. And if Major League Baseball is just going to give somebody $20 million, yeah, sign Hosmer.
I don't think so. I would be very surprised. I think these are all owners that can afford this. So the Reds are cutting payroll right now, and someone figured out that they are earning $130 million every year in just publicly known money.
Yeah, of course. All of the brands, everything. Every time anyone buys a jersey,
right?
Nick Castellanos jerseys are everywhere,
right? And That's a lot of money.
Yes.
And they're cutting their payroll sub $100 million. And everyone's like, what are we doing? And I think that's owners can afford $60 million a year in payroll. They just can't. And I think I'd be annoyed if I'm a bigger team. Like, I'm giving you money because you can't pay $60 million a year. Right? We all make, like, a TV deal on average makes you $99 million. $99 million a year.
And yeah. And teams like the Pirates.
Yeah.
Teams
So
like the Pirates, there's nothing else to watch in Pittsburgh but the Pirates.
Right. So they have the money, and and it gets a little interesting too, because the players' unions want a better way to compensate players during the arbitration years. And they want it to be, so basically they want, so when you're younger, you get paid appropriately. And so you don't wait for the big payday at the end of your 7 years of tenure as a Major League Baseball player. So one of the ideas they're floating around is basically this idea of players are judged by their wins above replacement, which is, we've talked about in the podcast before, a statistical way to measure the replacement level of a player in Major League Baseball. So
an average player is 0.
Right.
Anything that's plus 0 is good. You're 1 plus better than an average player, and so on. And negative, you're worse than a regular player.
Right. Tatis, 6+ WAR player on both Baseball Reference WAR and Fangraph WAR. Like, an MVP traditionally is 5+ WAR, very good. Basically, if you're above 0, you're very good. And baseball is proposing to use Fangraphs WAR, and there's like 2 major versions of wins above replacement, one by Baseball Reference and one by Fangraph. Fangraphs, there is a distinction to Fangraphs does actually favor more defensive metrics in their calculations than Baseball Reference. And so some people like that better because they use, you can be a positive WAR player defensively on Fangraphs, right? And I think some players would be like, that's the way it is, right? Kevin Kiermaier, not a great bat, but the dude's like one of the best center fielders in baseball history. Really.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's like he should get paid for catching every single ball that hits the center field in Tampa, right? So basically, the idea is like, once the player gets into year 4, from then on they're given a salary just based upon what their career WAR is plus their last year's WAR is. And there's going to be a calculation saying, last year you were a 3 WAR player. That means $8 million per WAR. Here's $24 million. Right? That's kind of the rough estimation of how it would go. And if you're someone who's not a replacement level, who's completely replacement level, there's going to be a floor, right? Here's $500,000. Here's $1 million. That's it. Still not bad living. And so that's kind of what they're proposing, because it's just a lot of ambiguity, because the whole process of arbitration is the player says, I want this much. And then the club's like, actually, we're going to do this much. And if they don't agree, it's like a quasi legal process where you bring lawyers in, they have their lawyers, and they rip each other apart to say, hey, I'm actually worth this much money, pay me this much. And it's traditionally can be very, very messy. So they want to cut that down, and they want to get people like Jake Cronenworth, great example. He's not going to be a free agent until he's 33, 34. He should be paid. Like, he's an all-star. Like, he should be paid good money by his 4th year.
So by your 4th year, the team has to give you that money, or you can go to another team?
No, the team has to give you that money. Right? They can't. You have to be like, hey, Jake Cronenworth's a career, 10 WAR player, and he made 1 WAR last year. So you're going to give him the quality of salary based on this metric they have. So if 10 WAR is like $8 million per WAR, and you say he made 2 WAR last year, it's like, oh, here's $16 million next year. right? Because you're trying to pay them to reward them for being a good player when they couldn't have arbitration, and then incentivize them to keep playing well.
Okay,
Right.
so my question is, you still sign him to a contract?
No, this would still be like your part of your service time, part of your like rookie contract. It just you get paid more consistently and earlier.
Oh, okay. So a rookie contract lasts 7 years, and after the 4th year, you start getting paid to WAR. And once your rookie contract is over,
You're a free agent again.
then you're a free agent again. You can sign to how much money you
So a
want.
good example of this is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger was MVP 2 years ago, right? Had a good year last year, a horrible year this year. So let's just say he hits this process now. The current process. So the current arbitration process is like, hey, you were really garbage last year. We're not paying you. We're not paying you anything.
Yeah,
Right? 'Cause he was awful this year.
yeah,
right?
he under 200. Yeah,
But he's also a very talented young person, right? Like, so players are like, no, he enters the 4th year in this new system, and they're like, hey, he won MVP. He has a career like 11 WAR. He gets this much money now. He gave you 11 wins above replacement in the first 4 years. You have to play ball at this level, right? Because that's what they're also trying to do is like, you want them to be rewarded as early as possible, so that teams don't take advantage, like they've done previously, where it's just like Gary Sanchez of the Yankees got really shafted by this because when he started arbitration, he had one bad year, but the previous year he had 30 plus home runs and like one of the best offensive catchers in baseball. And so now you're like, it's a little unfair to not be rewarded by playing well earlier in your career. And so that's what the process is trying to fix. So the owners are incentivizing players to play well, and the players are incentivized to play well early. So the first big paycheck is actually like a real paycheck, $10+ million if you play super well in your early years.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, the CBA is the threat of labor strike, and that there won't be a full baseball season next year unless the players' union demands are met. I don't know what to take that as, because like players want money and owners want to keep making money. So I don't know what I don't know. Like I can't sit here and tell you there will be a season next year. I think there will be a season next year. I don't know if it's going to be a full season, but I also don't know like really if anyone really knows like if there's going to be a full labor stoppage, which would basically mean like no, the union would not work with the owners at all.
What are their demands? Do we know instead of their demands?
6 monster trucks, lifetime passes at Disney World. That's what it is. That's not super public knowledge. I think traditionally the player,
Because I can't remember the demand. So I was like, I don't. That's every time there's any kind of arbitration. They definitely always do this. Oh, it's going to stop shortage, work stoppage. If 1996 taught them anything, the work stoppage cost them viewerships.
in 94.
94, sorry. It wasn't until 96 when the viewership started going back up. It cost them 2 years of lower viewerships. It wasn't until 1998 with the home run chase where people started watching baseball again at the same numbers. Baseball right now has higher numbers, viewerships than it's had in a very long time. It has legitimately some of the best superstars in all of sports in it right now. To stop baseball right now would just be the dumbest idea, because the amount of people will just like, we're getting out of COVID. People want to go back to things. Look how we sold out Tuesday night games in Petco Park.
Right.
We never sold out Tuesday night games because people want entertainment. They want to do something. They want to be a part of something. this next year, if we can have open stadiums through the entire year, it's just it blows my mind that they're even stopping that. It's just I think it's a tactic. They're not going to stop baseball.
Well, so I think people have said this is like the money's too good right now. Like you're just gonna like the players know, like Noah Syndergaard making a 1-year deal for $21 million. Like, do you think the owners don't have money?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
do you think the players don't want money? Like, there's going to be changes, but like the money's too. I think the money's like you said, the money's too good. People want to spend all the money on baseball, and like this whole looming like idea that all of this that the Bali Sport Network might fold is actually a really good thing, because Amazon will just buy it and just like give all this money to Major League Baseball, and like I think the owners see that like, yeah, this is the best time. Like the money's so good, people are willing to spend money on baseball. Players are excited to be paid well. I don't know. I think that there's just not like it's not as tumultuous. I'm not a player or owner, but to me, it's not like it was in the 70s where it's like, hey, I'm making $15,000 a year and I have to work a job in the summer in the fall, and I'm an all-star. Right? That's not what we're at.
Exactly.
It's the thing like, hey, you're not being competitive enough, and like there'll be. I do think there'll be competitive balances. I really do. But the money's too good. It just there's so much money flowing in and out of baseball. Like they're not going to want that, the players or the owners. But maybe the demands are crazy. Maybe it's like everyone has to spend $180 million every year.
That would be crazy. That'd be a pretty crazy demand.
I doubt
Musk would own 3 teams.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll keep following it.
Other than the possibility of the DH,
Yeah.
universal DH, is there any other rule changes they're proposing? I haven't read anything.
I think that they might do. I don't know. Like the universal DH is a pretty big one. I was trying to think. So I don't know if any of the Atlantic League stuff is going to be proposed. I think it's too. I think because it's a CBA year, they're probably not going to go back with radicals things. Expanded playoffs is probably the most likely thing after universal DH. So that would be like it was in 2020. 8 teams in both leagues.
That was nuts. So stupid. There was no reason why certain teams were in the playoffs in 2020.
Yeah.
i.e. Florida.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see that. That's just more money. That's more playoff revenue, right?
I think, honestly, the universal DH ties in with all their money negotiations, because all of a sudden now you're going to find older players with a lot more value. Like JD Martinez will find a way bigger contract now that he can shop for all 30 teams who want him as a DH opposed to just 15.
I always think of how poverty-stricken $125 million contract JD Martinez is, but you brought it up. He can now make more money than $125 million. He might have to. He can finally buy his home in the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
Yeah, exactly. So again, so you would think they would want to pass that rule, and there would be so many other players that would have better chances for making money if there's a DH. Although I personally think the DH, if you have a good, like for the Padres example, if we have a good hitter in every position, the DH would just be to rotate in resting. Yeah. And you're denied that if you have a standard DH.
Oh, I mean, the DH would be incredible because, like, for the Padres, because Ha-Song would then play a lot more, too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so you would have a guy who's basically the Kevin Kiermaier of the infield play every day. and just make incredible defensive plays at 3 separate positions in the infield. You know,
Yeah.
and that's that. I'm on board with universal DH because as long as pitchers aren't going to aren't encouraged to be good hitters, and it's not a good product. It just isn't, right? What do you think about this idea? So Jeff Passan mentioned it, but I know I've heard it before. Basically, you limit the roster to have 11 pitchers and a double hook when the starter gets you give up a DH once the starter gets pulled. So it encourages longer.
I know what it encourages. It doesn't do anything for the shortening of a game. Only thing that will shorten a game would be a pitch count.
Pitch clock?
Pitch clock, yeah.
I'm all for pitch clocks. I really am. It'd be obnoxious at first to see the big clock, but
you didn't see it so when I went to a couple Elsinore games this last year.
Right. In that level they have,
and they have a pitch clock, and you don't realize what it is. It's just a clock sort of off in the distance, and you realize it's in the perfect sight line for the home plate umpire.
Right.
And okay, that's what it is. It's not a giant clock. It's just big enough so somebody at home plate, a 75-year-old man at home plate, can read it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the universal DH. I don't know. I would be very surprised if they do like the larger bases and the automatic strike zone, stuff like that. That might be too big of a.
And you know what I'm also really okay with? Just because they've been talking about allowing a catcher electronic device to tap.
Yeah.
And it'll tap out like a Morse code to the pitcher on his arm, and he can tell you what you want to pitch. That'd be so much easier because thanks to the stupid, Astros, every time somebody gets on second base, the game comes to a crawling halt. And the amount of times the pitching sequence changes, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that I'm okay with some sort of electronic between a pitcher and a catcher to speed the game up a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I once again, I don't know if they're going to do that radical stuff. But yeah, I think it's totally fine. I think that's a good way to speed up the game. Just no more ambiguity between catcher and pitcher. But yeah, we'll see how the CBA plays out. And I don't think it's going to, I honestly don't think it's going to be, I'm not baseball insider, but I'd be very surprised if it's like a 6-month holdout.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is interesting to see how many other players are signed up until that. And everyone knew that the Angels were going to sign a bunch of pitchers this year.
Yeah, I mean, people are saying that Verlander might get 2-year $40 million, 2-year $37 million, or something like that. That's crazy, right?
Apparently, Scherzer wants a 4-year deal.
He's too old.
I know.
Sorry, Scherzer. I think you're an entertaining person, but you're too old. You're not getting a 4-year deal.
Yeah, he wants 4 years, $80 to $100 million bucks.
He's already made like $200+ million. What? How much money do you need, Max? Do you need all of it? Do you really need all of it?
I mean, he's still one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, I get it.
But I'm curious to see what the Noah Syndergaard signing
means for the rest of
for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had. This is going to be an interesting draft, like a free agent class, because you have like 4 shortstops that all could be signed. You have Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager.
Well, according to all the rumors, the Tigers all but signed
Carlos Correa,
yeah.
And that makes so much sense. Like, I know the Tigers signed. Who they signed? Why am I drawing a blank? They just signed somebody. Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So they're aiming to be like, hey, we're in the worst division in baseball. If we attempt anything, we're competitive.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Carlos Correa makes.
We tie our shoes correctly, we're gonna get 10 more wins.
Right. Ouch. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like kind of how like because like it's already been pretty. I mean, I think Eduardo Rodriguez 4 years, 73 million. That's still pretty good money, and like that's not cheap at all. We just haven't seen position players like that. I think Carlos Correa is the most heralded of all the free agents right now because he's so like he hasn't played a full season in a long time, but dude is a great defender and mashes. So,
Exactly.
So he's going to set the tone really for the top of the market. So yeah, I'm interested to see. We'll keep you updated from time to time. Hopefully some Padres stuff. Maybe do you think Padres sign anybody? Do you think that we sign more free agents?
It depends on what. I think it depends on what the Athletics do. If the Athletics start a fire sale, which we think they might do after all waiting until where all the bean counting is the perfect time for Billy Bean to shine.
Yeah.
If they start a fire sale, we will sign a few A's just because people want to play with Melvin. I think it's more highly likely that we will trade a few people opposed to sign more people.
I could see us signing, like we're linked to Marcus Stroman, which is very fascinating to me. Marcus Stroman is a good pitcher for the Mets. Is a great ground ball pitcher, and we have a great infield. So I could see that being great. But it's just surprising to me because I feel like that's like I would rather have a better corner outfield spot than another starting pitcher. But I think Preller isn't. I don't know. This offseason is going to be so interesting how Preller approaches it because he's already started out in a way that is so uncharacteristic because he's hiring non-Rangers.
I know.
So I don't know. I don't know where it's going to be next. Is he just? I'm very curious to see what happens because my suspicion is like yours, where he's gonna find some things to trade for and trade for them. Because that's the way he operates. But maybe Peter Seiler's like, no, I'm gonna bust open this piggy bank. Let's stack some people. Let's sign Nick Castellanos.
That would,
dude.
that would be so nuts.
I'd love if Nick Castellanos was a Padre.
He would look really good in brown and gold.
Oh yeah, the dude is the swaggiest person. Top 5 swag players in all of baseball. No,
Yeah.
not even close. It's just crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just curious, and I think it's going to happen. Like I would suspect the Padres, if they sign, would probably be earlier too. Just as a way, only because I think that I suspect I have a suspicion that most general managers believe that the way the market is now, it's just going to be the way the market is afterwards.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's a high market and it just is what it is. And yeah, I'm just interested. I don't know. We haven't talked about it, but I have no idea what to expect of this offseason for the Padres. I have none.
Well,
Okay, I want them to like Pham. The outfield's kind of a mess right now because Pham's a free agent. Myers is kind of up and down, mostly down, right? And who else do we have?
we don't have anybody else I mean, we have some really good prospects, but
Right? Does CJ Abrams become like Tatis was in 2019? Does he have a great spring training and get called up? Maybe.
could be Joshua Mears, Robert Hassel III are all really great prospects, but they're not going to be ready by next year. They might be, but probably not. I don't know. The way they're touting Robert Hassel III, you think he's the second coming of Trout.
Dude, he has such a proper name, right? Like the problem is with his name is like he has so much expectations, right? He literally sounds like he's from the novel Great Expectations. Right?
He does.
Robert Hassel III.
He sounds like he in between baseball bouts, he was breeding horses.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really interested. 'Cause I am expecting the way Preller always does stuff. Tries to get a trade here and there, and he just relies on his farm to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
But I did not expect Bob Melvin one bit.
No, and that's the problem with AJ Preller. Last year, and Bob Melvin was a good reminder of it. Last year during the offseason, we didn't expect within 48 hours to be looking at Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, and Ha-Seong Kim.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, we just made that happen. And then Melvin popped into our laps. Okay, it's just, there's no predicting what they can do.
Yeah. But we'll keep you informed. Anything else, James?
Nope. We're gonna, now that we're all moved into our new place, we're gonna start doing.
You and I are moved in.
We are moved in. I helped.
We did help.
We're gonna start doing these once a week again, just because. Why not? And thank you for our new subscribers.
Yes. Welcome to the crew. Welcome to the Brothers Padre cabal. That's not, they don't call themselves a cabal.
What are you talking? What? No.
No one.
Cabal usually means secret things and where people plot.
We want the opposite of cabal. We want an open cabal. We're an open cabal system here at the Brothers Padre.
Just end the show. End the show.
We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Brothers Padre. Remember to like us, subscribe. Thank you so much for your love and outpouring of, you guys gave us a lot of love gave us a lot of love last episode. That's the order of words that I meant to say. Thank you so much for that love. And until next time, James, go Padres.
Go Padres.
There it is! Oh, doctor! You can hang a star on that, baby!